everyone. Welcome to episode 315, Breaking Curses. Welcome to the Harmony in the Home podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hutchison. I'm a counselor, a life coach, and most importantly, an imperfect mom doing this work right along with you. And my goal on our podcast is to go from chaos to calm, feel less frazzled, and have more fun within your four walls to have more harmony in your home. Wow, it's been a heavy couple weeks in the podcast land, huh? I like to talk about laundry and keeping our house organized. And then sometimes I like to talk about breaking generational curses and generational trauma, which was last week. So before I start talking about the deep and heavy stuff, I want to talk to you about letter writing, which I cannot shut up about. I'm completely addicted. It's like crack to me. I'm looking for cracks in my day and I'm addicted to it like crack. I'm always thinking about, okay, when can I write? I do 15 minutes, 30-minute sessions here and sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, a little bit at night because I'm pretty tired at night. But sometimes at night, I might just do the return address parts on the envelopes. It's pretty easy. Or I might just pull codes at night when I'm pretty tired. The morning is the best time. I get up early before the kids wake up. Well, now they're not in school, so it's a little bit different. But I like to get up super early. I like to write with my pre-workout. And then I write for a little bit and I just kind of disconnect. It's so quiet. No one's awake. The dogs aren't even awake sometimes. It's so quiet. No one's emailing me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm not on social media. And I just love the quiet time. And then after the pre-workout kicks in, I go for my little run, then I come back and then I start my day. And I got a big chunk done. And then I might do a midday writing sesh. And then maybe after dinner, before dinner, do 20, 30 minutes. It depends on the day. On the weekends, it's not that easy. I probably just will do, maybe just pull some codes here and there. I kind of just dabble on the weekends. But during the week, I'm more organized with my time. And now that the kids are on summer break, I have to be super, super intentional with my writing blocks. But I love my writing blocks. I look forward to them. I love teaching other people how to do it too. And it's like scratching that teacher itch in me because I know that if people write, they will be successful. And you don't have to tell anybody about it. There's no sales, there's no quotas, there's no MLM, there's no structure, there's no team building, there's none of that. You write, you get paid. You just have to be patient and consistent. It's just like weight loss. You have to eat clean and work out on a consistent basis without seeing the scale move. And you have to do that over and over and over until you get your first drop, which takes the longest. And after you get your first drop, then the scale starts moving and it's super motivating. It's hard to get to that first level, but once you do, it's super addictive. And that's where I am right now. And I love sharing it with other people. So if you're interested, reply to the email on Wednesday I send, or send me a message on Facebook, or just click the link in the email that I send you to get the training that I did. And it's literally start to finish, soup to nuts, everything you need from writing, getting your template approved, to converting. That was my biggest thing is I was like, I'm going to do all this work. I want to be able to convert my money and get my money out. I don't want to pay my bills in coins. You can't pay your bills in coins. I don't want to lose all of that hard work by a mistake or not knowing what I'm doing. And I have converted probably 15 to 20 times. My average conversion rate is 97%. So the training is taught me exactly what to do. So if you're interested in that, we're now to 5 figures just from letter writing in 2025, and I love sharing it with other people. If you're interested, then send me an email or send me smoke signals, and I will hook you up, Buttercup. So now we're talking about generational trauma and breaking curses. This week's about breaking curses. Last week, we talked about generational trauma. I'm going to let you listen to last week just to refresh your memory.
If you had a traumatic childhood, most of the time that means you probably had traumatized parents, which probably means you don't have a very good support system because they don't know how to be a very good support system because they didn't have the good support system. This is where the term generational trauma comes in, because one or both of your parents were either physically or emotionally not there. So you develop this support system of being there for yourself, and you're the only person who can help you, and no one else in the world understands what you're going through.
Okay, so that was last week talking about generational trauma and pretty much explaining that it doesn't let your parents off the hook if your parents weren't there for you emotionally or spiritually or physically. It does not let them off the hook. The reason why I want you to understand how generational trauma works is, number one, to break the patterns, which we're all trying to do. And number two, probably which should be number one, more important, is that I want you to know that your childhood and the way that your parents felt about you and were there for you or not there for you had nothing to do with you. It's not like if you were a nicer kid, a sweeter kid, a well-behaved kid, had blue hair, pink hair, blonde hair, brown hair, were a boy, were a girl. None of that matters. They were just rinse repeating from their childhood. So if they had a lot of toxicity in their childhood, then they just went and repeated that. So that's the goal of this podcast, is to help break the generational trauma patterns and taking the good parts of our childhood that we like, repeating that, taking the not so good parts and not repeating that. And that's how you break it. And in that process, you are repairing yourself. And that is where healing comes from. It doesn't let your parents off the hook. It just lets you off the hook, knowing that no matter what child was in that environment, they all would have been treated the same exact way. It has nothing to do with your worthiness or your value. I say that every day, every week, and I hope it gets through our brains and our thick skulls, not your thick skulls, all of our thick skulls, because we're older and our brain doesn't like to learn new things. But once we get this, we're like, oh, it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with my parents' thought about themselves projected onto me. And that's where true freedom comes, because we know that the way that we feel about ourselves is just going to be projected onto our kids. So that's why we clean up our inner dialogue. We clean up our self-talk. We clean up our habits. We clean up our life. And then we project good stuff onto our kids. And then they go repeat that pattern. And that is true beauty to know. And that's how you sleep at night. That is pure freedom. Not being perfect, being a B- parent and being like, you know what I'm doing? You lay your head on the pillow at night I'm doing a pretty good job. Not a perfect job, a pretty good job. And they're really trying hard to be a good kid and do all the things, just like I'm really trying hard to be a good parent. They're trying just as hard as we are. So give them grace, give them comfort, give them compassion, just like you have to give it to yourself first. And then it easily is projected onto them. So breaking curses, I want you to listen to this one. This came from Instagram, from a page called Care Wellington. And he's putting on chapstick, it looks like, as he's talking about this. And then he hears the lesson. He throws the chapstick and then he starts head banging against the steering wheel because it hit him so hard. It has 1.2 million views. So it obviously resonated with other people. I love to find viral things and realize why it became viral. And the reason why it comes viral is because it resonates not only with myself, but with so many other people. Okay, so it's very short, but I want you to listen to it. I think it will help you.
I just saw a video on my For You page that said you are never going to break a generational curse as long as you are busy still trying to please the generation that is cursed.
It's really worth it to go to his page called Care Wellington to see his reaction and see how nonchalantly he says it. And then reading the comments. The comments are always fire. Just as a sample for some of the comments. Food Lover says you can't heal in the same environment that you got sick in. 45,000 people agreed with that and liked that comment. Micah Kaiser says you can't be in the dark and light at the same time. 31,000 likes to that comment. Oh, this is a good one. This is freedom though. Roca Rosa says you need to disappoint a lot of people to change things. Ooh, it is hard to disappoint people, but guess what? We have been disappointed before in the past, and it's okay to disappoint people. I know that sounds crazy to say out loud. It's okay that people are disappointed in choices that you make. That is pure freedom. I remember Dr. Laura saying that one time. I was like, wait, what? She's like, they're going to be okay. They are grown men. They are a grown man. Grown man or grown woman. They will figure it out. And just like you have managed disappointment in your life, they will manage disappointment too. They will be okay. Booze Nadley says the way you talk to your children becomes their inner voice. Ain't that the truth? Lulu Moo says, that's it. I'm covering myself in tattoos with this saying. I am Monique Burke says, I almost threw my phone across the room because that's pure facts. Happy Ceratop says, understanding this slowly, no idea how to come out of it. Happy Ceratops, come listen to our podcast. It might help you. Duman says, someone please like my comment so I can always be reminded to please God, not a cursed generation. Thank you. Nana Yabui, what are these names? Says, the parents will be fine. Obey God and do you, boo. That's so true. And Queen Gathani says, you can't heal in the same space that hurt you. Notes Girl says, no one in my family is pleased with me right now. I stand up for what's right. Don't back down. And they say, but that's how it's always been done. Or what about what people say? So I guess I'm breaking the curse. And that's so true because we just want to rinse, repeat, and do a carbon copy of our childhood, even though we didn't like it. And our unconscious brain will repeat it if we're not conscious. That's why so many people reach out to me and they're like, Kelly, let's say I was yelled at my whole life and I swore up and down I would never yell at my kids. I would never curse at my kids. And here I am, they're 3 years old and I'm yelling at them and cursing at them. I'm like, I know you're doing that because you're unconscious and you're repeating old patterns. That's completely normal. That's what the brain is going to do if we go on default settings. And when we know better, we do better. We're just repeating what we were taught. But when you're conscious about it, then you can be like, hey, wait a minute, hold the phone. I don't want to raise my kids in that environment that I was raised in. So how am I going to show up in a way that is different than the way that I was raised in? And that's where pure freedom comes from, because you get to rewrite history. You get to do it your own way and not the way that it's always been done, just like that one comment said. And like Notes Girl says, but that's how it's always been. What will people say? That's the point. That's how it's always been. And look how miserable everybody is. Everyone's miserable because we're just repeating what's always been done. So why not change the trajectory of not only our lives by reparenting ourselves, but that of our children's and that of our children's children's and so on and so forth, and leaving a legacy. That is where we hit the lottery, when we realize what we're writing on the slate of not only our life, but that of our children. We don't have the right to yell at them. They're children from God. They're not children from us. And once you get that and you detach our egos, oh yeah, it becomes a lot more fun. And then our kids teach us where we need to grow, instead of we thinking that we're the experts and we always need to teach them where they need to grow. They're the experts. That doesn't mean they're the boss. They run the show. Doesn't mean any of that. It's just like, let's learn from them and see what comes up for us with their behaviors, versus always making their behaviors mean something about us and our worthiness and our value. Flip that script and your life will change forever. I love you guys and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Hey mamas, thanks for listening. If you had any ahas, clicks, or those lightning bolt moments while listening, you have to check out my free parenting bootcamp, where we take all of this to the next level and we try to create even more awakenings for ourselves so that we can connect more with our kids and never yell at them again. You can sign up at www.coachingkelly.com. And if you really want to fill up my love cup, send me an email of what your aha was, what your click was, what was that lightning bolt moment while you were listening. I want nothing more in life than for you to have harmony in your home and to learn how to be an imperfect mom like me, which allows your kids to be imperfect too, each and every day. Thanks for listening.